You're being tested right now, not by life, not by circumstance, by people who have learned, consciously or not, that your reaction is their reward. Think about the last time someone said something cutting, something dismissive, something designed to get under your skin. What did you do? You probably responded, defended yourself, tried to explain. Maybe you replayed the whole thing for hours afterward, rewording your response in your head, wishing you'd said something sharper. That's the trap. Every reaction you give is currency, and most people are spending themselves into bankruptcy. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth and still wrote daily reminders to himself. Not about strategy or conquest, but about refusing to be disturbed. Not because the world wasn't chaotic, it was, but because he understood something that most people never learn. You cannot control what comes at you. You can only control whether it lands. Silence is not surrender. Ignoring is not weakness. Non-reaction is not passivity. It is the most deliberate, disciplined, psychologically sophisticated move you can make. This video is about 6 Stoic strategies that will change the way you move through the world. Not louder, not harder. Quieter. More controlled. Completely untouchable. If you're done letting other people's chaos cost you your peace, drop "ignore" in the comments, and let's begin. Strategy 1. Starve the fire. Here's something nobody tells you about conflict. Most of it isn't really about you. When someone provokes you, throws a cheap shot, makes a snide comment, picks a fight over something trivial, they aren't reacting to who you are. They are testing what you'll give them, and what they want, more than an argument, more than being right, is a reaction, because reaction is proof of power. Your reaction tells them, you matter enough to disturb me. And the moment you send that signal, you've handed them the keys. This is what the Stoics called the danger of indifferent things. A diaphora. Events, insults, provocations. None of them have inherent power. They only carry the weight you assign them. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the most influential philosophers in history, understood this viscerally. He had every reason to be consumed by bitterness, by rage, by the injustice of his circumstances. Instead, he built an entire philosophy around a single insight. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Attention is not just emotional, it is energetic. Every time you engage with something unworthy of your focus, you are draining a resource that cannot be easily replenished. Think of your attention as a fire. Everything you look at, respond to, and emotionally engage with receives heat. Some things deserve that heat. Your goals, your relationships, your craft, your growth. But provocations, petty conflicts, people who thrive on discord, they are green wood. They produce smoke, not warmth. And the more you feed them, the worse the air around you becomes. Behavioral psychology has a term for what happens when you stop feeding the fire: extinction. When a behavior, any behavior, stops receiving reinforcement, it diminishes. It loses energy. It eventually stops. The person who provokes you and receives only silence learns over time that you are not a viable source of the reaction they crave. They move on. They have to. Starving the fire isn't about pretending the provocation didn't happen. It's about making a conscious, deliberate choice. This does not deserve my energy. This is not where my attention lives. The first Stoic strategy is simply this: withdraw your attention as an act of power, not avoidance. Strategy 2. The discipline of silence. There is a deeply human urge to be understood. When someone misreads you, criticizes you, or questions your choices, something inside you immediately wants to correct the record, to explain, to lay out your reasoning so clearly and so thoroughly that they simply have to understand. And maybe if you explain well enough, if you find exactly the right words, they'll finally see you as you are. But here's what that urge is actually costing you. Every time you explain yourself to someone who has already decided how they feel about you, you are not clarifying. You are negotiating. You are implicitly agreeing that their opinion of you is a courtroom, that their judgment requires a defense, and that you owe them the labor of justification. You don't. And the moment you step into that dynamic, you've already lost ground you didn't need to surrender. Seneca wrote, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." That line is not about being cold or withholding. It is about the hard-earned wisdom that comes from repeatedly explaining yourself and watching it change nothing. Or worse, watching it give the other person more ammunition. Because that's what over-explanation does. It reveals your pressure points. It shows them exactly where to push next time. The Stoics practiced what might be called dignified silence. Not the silence of someone with nothing to say, but the silence of someone who has decided that saying it would be a waste. Marcus Aurelius didn't justify his decisions to every critic in Rome. He governed, he reflected, he improved, the work spoke, and when the work speaks, the explanation becomes redundant. Here's the shift that changes everything. You are not required to make anyone understand you. Understanding is a gift you give selectively to people who have demonstrated they are capable of receiving it honestly. Everyone else gets your actions, your results, and your silence. Not explaining is not arrogance, it is discernment. It is the Stoic discipline of protecting your inner world by refusing to drag it into every outer conflict. The second strategy is this: let your silence be your statement, and let your life be your argument. Strategy 3. The art of calm indifference. Nothing unsettles a provocateur more than someone who simply doesn't react. Not someone who fires back, not someone who gets visibly flustered, someone who looks at the provocation, registers it, and then, calmly, unhurriedly, continues exactly as they were. That response, or rather that non-response, is psychologically devastating to anyone whose move depended on getting a rise out of you. Because when your calm meets their chaos, something is revealed. Not about you, about them. This is what the Stoics understood about indifference. Real indifference, the practiced and deliberate kind. It is a mirror. When you refuse to react, the other person's behavior is left standing alone in the room, unvalidated, unexplained, and suddenly very visible. Their aggression has no one to dance with. Their insult lands on a surface that doesn't absorb it, and in that moment, without you saying a single word, their insecurity is on full display. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That line is often quoted as wisdom about character, but it's also a strategic observation. When you mirror someone's chaos, when you match their anger, their pettiness, their need to wound, you give them the satisfaction of knowing they reached you. You become briefly their equal in behavior. Calm indifference, by contrast, doesn't just refuse to mirror them, it reveals the distance between where you are and where they're operating from. Think of it this way: if someone throws a punch and the other person simply steps aside, no drama, no retaliation, just a quiet, effortless sidestep. Who looks powerful in that moment? The person swinging at air. This isn't about performing composure. Performing it is exhausting and transparent. This is about cultivating genuine indifference to things that genuinely don't deserve your disturbance. The Stoics called external provocations preferred indifference, things that happen around you but have no authority over your inner state unless you grant it. The third strategy is this: practice calm indifference not as a mask but as a philosophy. Let your stillness do what your words never could. Expose, without accusation, exactly what's really happening. Strategy 4. Selective engagement. Not every voice in the room deserves a seat at your table. One of the quietest and most powerful decisions you can make is the decision about who gets your engagement. Not just in arguments or conflicts, but in daily life, in the conversations you join, the dramas you step into, the debates you feel pulled toward. Because here's the truth that most people resist. Engagement is a choice. And like every choice, it reveals your values, your priorities, and your level of self-mastery. The Stoics were not hermits. They did not advocate for withdrawing from life or refusing all human contact. Quite the opposite. Marcus Aurelius led armies, governed an empire, and navigated some of the most complex political relationships in the ancient world. But he was ruthlessly selective about where his attention and energy went. He engaged with what was within his control and deliberately released what wasn't. That discernment, knowing the difference between a battle worth fighting and noise worth ignoring, was central to his philosophy and his effectiveness. Seneca captured it precisely. Nusquam est qui ubique est. He who is everywhere is nowhere. When you spread your attention across every conflict, every provocation, every piece of background drama, you become diluted. You are present everywhere in a shallow way and nowhere with real depth. But when you become selective, genuinely, unapologetically selective, something shifts. Your focus sharpens, your energy consolidates. The chaos that once felt overwhelming starts to recede into background noise because you've stopped amplifying it with your attention. Here's a practical way to apply this. Before engaging with anything, a comment, a conflict, a conversation that feels charged, ask yourself one question. Does engaging with this move me toward or away from the person I'm trying to become? If the honest answer is away, then non-engagement isn't avoidance. It's alignment. Selective engagement is not about being cold or dismissive toward the world. It is about being fiercely intentional with the irreplaceable resource of your attention. The fourth strategy is this: treat your engagement like a currency and spend it only where it earns a real return. Strategy 5. Emotional restraint. The moment you lose your temper, you lose the argument, even if you were right. This is something the Stoics understood with almost clinical precision. Emotion, when expressed reactively and without discipline, doesn't communicate strength. It communicates vulnerability. It tells the room exactly where your edges are, exactly what can move you, exactly how to get inside your head the next time someone wants to. And in high-stakes moments, confrontations, negotiations, public pressure, that information is extraordinarily costly to give away for free. Emotional restraint is not the same as emotional suppression. This distinction matters enormously. Suppression is the act of burying what you feel, pushing it down until it finds another way out, usually at the worst possible moment, usually in the wrong direction, usually with collateral damage. Restraint is different. Restraint is the practiced ability to feel without being governed by what you feel, to notice the anger rising, to acknowledge it internally, and to choose, deliberately, consciously, how and whether to express it. Epictetus was direct about this. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That's not a comfortable idea. It places the responsibility squarely on you, not on the person who provoked you. But that's also where the power is. Because if your mind is complicit, your mind can also refuse. Your mind can pause. Your mind can decide that this moment does not warrant what they're trying to extract from it. There's a reason the most respected people in any room tend to be the calmest, not because they feel nothing, but because they have developed the discipline to respond rather than react. Responding is measured. Responding is chosen. Reacting is automatic, and automatic means controllable by whoever knows your triggers. The fifth strategy is this: train your nervous system the way athletes train their bodies, deliberately, consistently, over time. Because emotional restraint isn't a personality trait you either have or don't. It's a skill, and every heated moment you navigate with composure is a repetition that makes you harder to move. Strategy 6. The power of withdrawal. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply walk away. Not in defeat, not in avoidance, but in the full, clear recognition that some environments, some conversations, and some people are not worthy of your continued presence. And that staying, for the sake of appearances or the discomfort of seeming difficult, is a form of self-betrayal. We have been culturally conditioned to believe that walking away is losing, that the person who disengages first is the one who couldn't handle it, who was outmatched, who surrendered. But this framing has it completely backwards. Withdrawal, when it is disciplined and deliberate, is not a retreat. It is a redirection of resources. It is the act of saying, I see what this is, I understand what it costs, and I am choosing to invest myself somewhere more worthy. The Stoics were deeply concerned with what they called hegemonikon, the ruling faculty, the rational mind that governs how you engage with the world. Protecting that faculty from unnecessary damage was not optional for them. It was a moral obligation. Exposing yourself repeatedly to toxic dynamics, corrosive conflict, and environments designed to diminish you isn't resilience. It is negligence toward your own inner life. Think about what withdrawal actually communicates when it comes from a place of strength. It says, I do not require this. It says, my time and attention exist on a different level than whatever is happening here. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't require an announcement or a confrontation before the exit. The quiet, dignified departure of someone who has simply decided that they're done. That is psychologically louder than any argument could be. There is also a practical reality here. The person who stays in every argument, who never withdraws, who always has to see things through to some final resolution, that person gets ground down. The person who knows when to leave maintains something the stayer keeps losing, their own center. The sixth strategy is this: make withdrawal a tool, not a wound. Use it with intention. Use it as a declaration that your presence is valuable, your attention is not guaranteed, and your peace is non-negotiable. Here is what all 6 of these strategies have in common. They are not tactics for winning arguments. They are not tricks for making people feel small or tools for building walls between yourself and the world. Every single one of them, withdrawing attention, practicing silence, cultivating calm indifference, engaging selectively, restraining emotion, and knowing when to walk away, is in service of one single profound truth. You cannot live fully while you are endlessly at war. The Stoics didn't teach detachment because they were cold or indifferent to life. They taught it because they were paying attention to what happens to people who live reactively, who chase every slight, who fight every battle, who spend their entire life energy responding to things that were never worth responding to in the first place. They watched those people, and they saw not power, but exhaustion, not victory, but erosion. Marcus Aurelius faced actual war, actual betrayal, actual loss, and still wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't writing that for posterity. He was writing it because he needed to hear it. Because even an emperor, surrounded by every kind of external pressure, had to remind himself daily that the real battle was always internal. And so does yours. The world will keep producing provocations. People will keep making comments designed to test your edges. Situations will keep arising that seem to demand a response. That is not going to stop. The question is never whether the chaos exists. The question is whether you are going to keep volunteering yourself as its audience. When you stop reacting, something remarkable happens. Not immediately. The silence will feel uncomfortable at first, almost wrong, like you're letting something go unaddressed. But give it time. What you'll notice is that the provocations start to diminish, not because people have suddenly become kinder, but because you've stopped being a rewarding target, and more